Hello world. Many years ago, in fact it was 2009 I believe, I wrote a piece for Rudolph's website as it was then, which was just like that. I don't think that's available anymore, and I found the piece that I wrote and I thought I would share it with you for YouTube as part of my Magical Musical Moments series. We're going back to ABBA, I'm afraid. One day I will prove to you that my tastes vary wildly, but for the moment we're sticking with ABBA and we're looking at two songs which are Take a Chance on Me and Honey Honey. Alright, now when I first wrote this article I got some feedback saying, why are you saying that Agneta sings Honey Honey when in fact both of the girls do? They both do, but they're singing it as one person, and to my ear at least it's Agneta's voice which is the stronger out of the two, the one that they've mixed up a little bit more. I suppose if you're drawing up a comparison of similarities and differences, you'd find that with Honey Honey the female role is sung by both girls simultaneously throughout the whole thing, whereas with Take a Chance on Me, yes, there's a lot of them singing together, but there are also parts where one takes the background, and so Frida will take part of the verse, for example, for herself, and then Agneta will take over. Let's get into my article. I'm going to read you my article, but because I've got a piano here, I'll illustrate bits to you, and I'll also add some other bits in, as it were. So Take a Chance on Me and Honey Honey. Both of these songs address the topic of unrequited love, and they use different musical and lyrical devices to convey this emotion. Honey Honey is a perfectly constructed boy-girl duet, and it harks back to the 1950s with its rock and roll backing rhythm and its blues chord pattern with its wah-wah-hoo backing vocals. So the blues chord pattern is basically F, D minor, B flat and C. Alright, not necessarily in that order all the time, but basically those will be, because we're in the key of F major, right, and those are essentially the four chords that are going to be used to underpin this song. Alright, so for example, the introduction takes it's quite sort of economical. It just takes the three main chords that we're getting here, which is F, B flat and C, and just throws them out to you. Okay, so we've got F, B flat, and C, which is chord 5, okay? Now if you've been following my Read and Write Music series, you'll know that chords 1, 4 and 5 in any key, and in Honey Honey we're in F major, but those are the most important. So 1, 4 and 5, so in F major that would be chord F, chord B flat and chord C, alright? And what they've done in the introduction is taken the melody from the verse and just kind of squashed it. Honey, honey, how you thrill me, aha, honey, honey, oh you make me dizzy. So it's taken the whole verse and kind of squashed it, right? So looking at it, okay, we've got this section here. Honey, honey, how you thrill me, aha, honey, honey. Chord 1, F, to chord 4, B flat, okay? And it repeats that. Honey, honey, nearly kill me, aha, honey, honey. Okay, and then it kind of changes. This time we've got F to D minor. I'd heard about you before, I wanted to know some more, and now I know what they mean. You're a love machine, oh you make me dizzy. And the only time that we get to chord 5 is when the song needs to turn round and come back again to start that thing. And that's because chord 1, which in this case is F, is called the tonic. It's a chord that sounds like it's home. Chord 4 is called the subdominant, and chord 5 is called the dominant. Okay? When we say dominant, what we mean is that playing chord 5 in any key is going to sound like it really wants to resolve somewhere, to go somewhere else, right? So if I've got it here, now I'm on chord 5, it really can't stay there for very long, and I'm getting more tense and tense and tense and tense and tense, which is how the introduction of twist and shout works, by the way, just building extra notes onto it, right? But then it has to go back. Right, now if it goes back to the subdominant, so here we are, 1, 4, 5. Now if I go to the subdominant, it kind of is still somewhere up in the air, right? It really needs to go home. And that brings us home to the tonic again, alright? So we only ever get that chord of 5, which is a chord of C major in Honey Honey, when the song needs to turn round or to move somewhere else, and it's really used very effectively later on in the song. Alright, so if we look at the lyrics, Agnetta's verses are the musings of a teenager in love for the first time, and the simplistic chord structure affirms the naivety of her emotions. For her, this is a game of kiss chase. Yeah? I'd heard about you before, I wanted to know some more, and now I know what they mean, you're a love machine. Yeah, so basically, you know, she's just basically after him. Right? There's evidence that the boyfriend in the song has had more experience in love than she has. I know what they mean, you're a love machine. In other words, there have been other girls in the past who are kind of gossiping and telling Agnetta what Bjorn is like. A newfound sexual freedom bubbles under the lyrics to Agnetta's second verse. What do I mean by that? Well, actually, let me feel it, don't conceal it, actually mean what you think they mean. Alright, I'm going no further than that. Alright, but Agnetta, you know, she's obviously of age, and she really, you know, she's after him in every sense, and, you know, she obviously does not want to leave this as just a quick sort of meal in McDonald's or a quick sort of movie in the cinema. No, it's going to be a bit more than that. You know, she's not really under any illusions, but there's a discordant C11 chord which announces Bjorn's middle 8 passage. So, what have I got on the brain, people? Right, this is really interesting. This is really interesting. In fact, it doesn't actually go to C major. I was wrong in that article. It's C11 to C7. All right. It says C major in the sheet music, but then they've actually printed C7. All right. So we've got, when you do your thing, yeah. Okay. So right. So I feel like I wanna sing when you do your thing. That's our B flat. Okay. Now normally it would go to, oh, you make me dizzy. Oh, you make me dizzy. B flat, B flat, B flat, C. But it doesn't, alright? Instead, when you do your thing, and then we have this C11, which is C, E, G, B flat, D, and F. So it's a real scrunch. And then we're going into just C7. And now the song is changing key, because Bjorn's middle 8 is now going to B flat major. It's very sad. It's related to Agnetta's F major key in that it is chord 4, but because we've actually got what we call a cadence. A cadence is basically a chord sequence that kind of punctuates a piece, a bit like a comma or a full stop would punctuate a piece of writing. So here we've got a cadence which is chord 2 to chord 5 to chord 1 going up to chord 6. Alright, I'll show you how that sounds. Alright, so I don't wanna hurt you, baby. I don't wanna see you cry. And it's really sad. Okay, alright, so it's chord 2 in B flat, C minor. Alright, now given that we've just had this brightness of C to C7, C major, as I've said before, major chords are happy chords. So we've had, then we're going to C minor. Okay, chord 5 in B flat is chord F7, alright, which is really quite bright and happy, right? And then going to here, B flat, chord 1. Now that could sound like it's taking us home, except it isn't. Stepwise, we've got some movement in the bass, and then it goes to chord 6, which is G minor, and it sounds very sad, because Bjorn is saying here, things aren't quite what they should be. It's not I love you and you love me. It's don't get too hung up on me, please, people, because I might be, you know, your lover kind of thing. We might have a thing going, as it were, but I'm not going to stick around forever. Right? There's a reason why the girls talk about me and talk about my prowess, as it were. It's because I don't stick around. But he's too kind to just have this sort of one night stand or something with someone who obviously feels that more will come of it. Yet he plans to enter the relationship and leave it just as quickly. Alright? And then the next part here, so stay on the ground, girl, you better not get too high. Right? Bjorn's a little bit more upbeat. Okay, so rather than ending the cadence on chord 6, which is the line before, I don't want to see you cry, which is sad. Okay, alright, we repeat this 2, 5, 1. However, Bjorn's lines there end on an upbeat note. You better not get too high, and high being a happy word gets a happy chord. So C minor, and then F7, and then B flat, and we've got this lovely string bit going on here. Now Agneta is coming in, and you know, she's pulling her killer punch here. Alright, despite being in awe of Bjorn during the verses, her reply to his cautionary lines implies that she knows exactly what kind of relationship Bjorn is contemplating. Moreover, it's her sexual wiles that will win him over and secure the longevity of the relationship. So the key is F minor, which is distantly related to F major, happy key of the verses, but it's very different in tonality. Alright, so this I'm gonna stick to you, boy. Okay, right, here's honey, 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 honey. Alright, and now here's F minor. I'm gonna stick with you, boy. Okay, going to that B flat. So rather than, it's same, but going F minor still to a B flat, yeah? Okay, and then it moves E flat, G minor, A flat, and then we get this scrunchy. There's no other place in this, where we're on A flat, world where I rather would be. That's G minor, and then to C, and then we're back to honey, honey, how you tell me, and so on and so forth. So it's really, really very clever. Alright, but that scrunchy G minor sustained fourth that lands on rather would be indicates that everything in the relationship is not perfect. But the following C7 leads us back to Agneta being all happy and happy-go-lucky again. And the song fades out, leaving its audience speculating on how the relationship will progress. Take a Chance on Me is the more developed of the two songs for a number of reasons. Firstly, it was written and released at the peak of their career, and Bjorn and Benny had gained enough confidence to experiment. Indeed, the LP, from whence it derives, I actually wrote from whence, people. The LP it comes from, ABBA the album, was the group's most experimental to date, and arguably only the Visitors surpassed it for innovation. Secondly, the songwriters' grasp of the English language had improved since the Waterloo LP. No longer were they simply choosing English words to fit the melodies. Honey Honey's thrill kill rhyme is an early example of that. And thirdly, the tensions in the song are often as a result of superimposing darker lyrics over happier sounding music and vice versa. I talked about that with Don't Shut Me Down. And this directly contrasts with Honey Honey's happy lyrics with happy music. Darker lyrics, darker music. Right? So for example, happy lyrics, honey honey, how you thrill me, ha ha ha. Right? And then darker music for I don't want to see you cry, and that sort of thing. So yeah, it's yin and yang. Okay, so if honey honey represents the white and black halves of yin and yang, Take a Chance represents the black dot in the white and the white dot in the black. It much more closely resembles the experience where choices we make in love are not always the ones that make common sense to others or either ourselves. I actually wrote that as well. Right. So the song begins a cappella, vocals only. The story goes that Take a Chance, Take a Chance, Take a Chance, Chance came to Bjorn while he was jogging, and it was the rhythm of his feet as they hit the ground. Although the chords are simple in the chorus, which is B major to F sharp major. So the key here is B. So chord 1 is B, right? And chord 5 is F sharp major, like that. Right? So you've just got this, if you change your mind, and it just swaps backwards and forwards between B and F sharp. Arguably, that's simpler than Honey Honey with its going up to chord 4, then going back to chord 1, then going into chord 6. We've only got 2 chords here, but what we have got, which kind of trips you up and creates a little bit of tension, is that there are an irregular number of bars to chord changes. One would expect a catchy pop song such as this to contain a number of bars per section that divides by 4, such as the often used 12-bar blues pattern, and also which works in Honey Honey, for example. But we've got 21 bars for the chorus of Take a Chance on Me, and the odd one bar is split into 2 bars. Alright, so when we get to 1, 2, 3, 4, if you've got no place to go when you're feeling down. So place to go when you're is 1 bar of 2. Okay, and then in the second half of that, sorry, there's motorbikes driving outside, it's putting me off. Alright, but yeah, when we get to the second half of the chorus, right, 1, 2. If you put me to the test, if you let me try. So feeling down and to the test are 2 2/4 bars, which make up this odd 1 4/4 bar, and it trips you up. Okay, you couldn't set a drum machine to a sort of regular 4/4 pattern and have it finish in the right place. It wouldn't work. You would have to program 1 2 3 4 5 6 bars of 4/4, then 1 bar of 2/4, then go back to 4/4, program a few more bars, and then do you see what I mean? So yeah, it's now we've got halfway through the chorus, the band comes in, setting up a straight 4 to the floor dance rhythm. Well, it's not really 4 to the floor because we've got that odd bit of tension coming in because we've got the 2/4 bar, but we've got a sequencer style synthesizer complementing the backing vocal rhythm and subtle country guitar wailing plaintively in the background. So we've got Euro disco mixed with country music. It's kind of experimental, right? But the hardship in love and work, often embodied in country music. You know, you think about, You're Asleep on the Couch with Tammy, I Could Be Your Woman Now from the New Voyage album, right? Which, is, this hardship in love, because we have got hardship in love, right? We'll talk about that in a second, right? But we've got a very kind of hedonistic feel of disco, right? I won't go into it here, but I mean, you really only have to read a few accounts of what nightlife was like in the 1970s, and you'll see what I mean. That it's quite sort of rock and roll and hedonistic, and you've got this sort of having hardship in love. And lyrically, the character in the song fantasizes about a relationship with a partner who, in reality, is not interested in her. The chorus basically begs for the man to end the relationship or relationships that he's already in and get with her. If you're all alone when the pretty birds have flown. To add to the pain that she's feeling, she pledges to remain free until such a day. There's the unspoken assumption that our protagonist feels inferior, not as attractive as other women her intended is dating. When the pretty birds have flown, I'll still be here. So she really is not feeling very attractive at all. It's quite sad. Certainly, the singer believes in what goes around comes around. He'll be in her position one day. And when he does, she will make herself available. Now, I mentioned earlier that both girls were sort of playing the role of the single protagonist in this song, right? So far, the girls have been singing this chorus with Bjorn and Benny doing the take a chance, take a chance, take a chance in the background. That's essentially what we've had so far, right? As we go into the verses, it's Agneta. Agneta was really famous in her solo career for having these really soft, silky spoken lyrics, and she's bringing them out here, right? She seductively speaks these lines: "That's all I ask of you, honey." And in chorus 2, "Come on, give me a break, will ya?" It's really very well employed here. I don't think it works quite so well in some of her earlier solo music, because by now we're in stereo, and I'd imagine that a lot of her earlier solo music would have been in mono, but they've certainly got Agneta coming in both your ears, and it's like this thing, if you've got headphones on, it sort of comes down and it's sort of right round your neck. It's really, it's really effective. The mood changes for the verse, musically and lyrically. Even the more subtle details, such as EQ and reverb, change. There's an edit where this can be heard clearly out of phase at 38 seconds, where the opening chorus is joined to verse 1. Look at my anomalies videos for that. Lyrically, this is pure idyll, romance. She's going off into dreamland. The character lists all the activities that she and her intended could enjoy together. It's magic, in fact. But it would be kitsch if it weren't for the minor key that the song has moved into by this point. Minor keys and chords, as we know, have a sadder feel to them than major chords and keys. So, if this was C sharp major, it would be like this. But it actually isn't. It's C sharp minor. Hear how sad that sounds. And then it resolves down to chord 1, sorry. And then that repeats. We've got more tension because this fantasy and the pain that this fantasy is unlikely to become reality is expressed in this sort of minor chord, major chord kind of conundrum that's going on. We can go dancing, we can go walking, that's a minor chord. As long as we're together, major chord, quick burst of optimism. Listen to some music, maybe just talking, that's minor chord. You get to know me better because you know I got, that's major. Now, so much that I want to do is a minor chord because it's just not going to happen. Alright? And then when I dream I'm alone with you, that's major, but the lyrics are expressing some kind of acceptance of the situation. I'm dreaming that I'm alone with you. It's not actually really happening. Yeah? And then when we get to it's magic, it really is minor chord, G sharp minor then, followed by 2 major chords in quick succession. And that's really adding to the tension because we're not, which would bring it up and brighten the mood up, going to a major chord, we're landing on this minor chord again. You want me to leave it there, minor. Afraid of a love affair, major. Is she calling his bluff? But I think you know, he doesn't know, he doesn't even care. Followed by a major chord. But I can't let go, minor. She puts her finger on the frustration of her situation. If you take that through with the words in the second verse, you'll find that it pans out in exactly the same way. Take your time, baby, I'm in no hurry. For example, minor. I know I'm going to get you, major. You don't want to hurt me, minor. I ain't going to let you, major. Well, actually, she is. He is hurting her. Otherwise, we wouldn't be having this song. The whole point of the song is that she's hurt about the situation. Yeah? My love is strong enough, minor, to last when things are rough, major. It's magic, but it isn't really, because you've got these Benny's fluttering synthesizers which are just taking us just into a complete fantasy realm. Yeah? You say that I waste my time, minor. That's about the only time, really, where the grimness of the lyric and the grimness of the chord match, but I can't get you off my mind. This is horrible for her, but we've now got a major chord. I can't let go, minor, because I love you so again, minor, and then if you change your mind back to this chord 1-5, sort of switching around. Now, I appreciate that both of the analyses of these songs are pure after the event speculation. I'm not claiming at all that Benny Bjorn and Stig Anderson, who co-wrote Honey Honey, ever sat down and analysed every chord progression and lyric in the way that I've done. Both songwriters said that, you know, they had no knowledge of musical theory, but I've got no doubts that however empirical, that means if it sounds good, do it, their approach to songwriting, they were mindful and knowledgeable of the effect of the combined words and the music on its audience. It's comparable to the skill of a romantic novelist. A love story that doesn't make its readers cry has failed. Therefore, its author has to use conflict and resolution, amongst other devices, to make sure that the tears will flow at a carefully planned point. And I believe that in songwriting it's similar. Whatever the desired audience reaction, the most successful songwriters have got similar skills. I've said it over and over again in my discussions on ABBA songs that they were just absolute masters at balancing this feel good, because we don't want a record that makes us feel miserable, but balancing it with the sort of realities of life and the disappointments of life. And Take a Chance on Me is just fantastic in that sense. Honey Honey is good, but because you've got happy music, happy words, sad music, sad words, it's a lot more innocent. That 50s rhythm, as I say, it just, you know, it would be taking these two, Bjorn and Agneta, for example, back to when they were teenagers and, you know, just going out to discos and stuff, and, well, not discos, but dances and stuff, and, you know, it's an innocent thing. You know, Take a Chance is far more complex and emotional. Right, I'm going to stop there, because otherwise I'm going to be repeating myself. But thank you ever so much for watching, and I will see you all very soon. Bye bye.